Ladies and gentlemen, what we are about to discuss today changes absolutely everything we thought we knew about the dynamic on Roloff Farms. We are talking about allegations of forgery, medical fraud, and a courtroom showdown that has reportedly ended with someone being led away in handcuffs while Caryn Chandler faces the most serious scrutiny of her life. If the reports coming out of Oregon are even half true, Matt Roloff was hours away from losing total control of his life, his assets, and his medical decisions, all while lying unconscious in a hospital recovery room. We are hearing about a shocking scheme involving a corrupt mobile notary, a falsified timeline, and a signature that expert witnesses claim could never have been signed by Matt. But the real hero of this story is the one person no one expected to step in. It wasn't Caryn standing by his side. It was Amy Roloff, who reportedly stormed the legal system to save her ex-husband from what the judge is calling a predatory act of exploitation. You need to hear the details of the cross-examination that broke the case wide open. Before we dive into the explosive details of this trial and the evidence that allegedly saved Matt Roloff's life and legacy, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to LPBW Update. We are working around the clock to bring you these exclusive theories and deep dives that the mainstream media is afraid to touch. So join our community and turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking update. Let's get right into the thick of this nightmare scenario. For years, viewers have speculated about the intentions of Caryn Chandler. We have seen the tension, the farm negotiations, and the rift between Matt and his children, specifically Zach. But what we are looking at now goes beyond reality TV drama. We are looking at potential criminal conduct. According to insiders and theories circulating within the legal community, following the Roloff family, the catalyst for this entire event was a high-risk surgery that Matt was scheduled for earlier this month. We know Matt's medical history is complex, and any surgery carries significant risks regarding anesthesia and recovery times. The narrative we are piecing together paints a terrifying picture of vulnerability. While Matt was prepping for surgery, thinking he was surrounding himself with people who loved him, a plot was allegedly being hatched to seize control of his estate and his healthcare directives. The theory is that Caryn, perhaps sensing that her grip on the farm and Matt's finances was slipping or simply wanting absolute insurance, conspired to execute a durable power of attorney. This isn't just about paying bills. A medical power of attorney gives the agent life and death decision-making power. The problem, according to sources, was that Matt hadn't signed off on this total transfer of power before going under the knife. This is where the situation turns from a family dispute into a legal thriller. Reports suggest that a mobile notary was brought into the hospital, a man allegedly hired specifically by Caryn to facilitate this transaction. The timeline is crucial here. The document in question, which would give Caryn absolute legal power over Matt, was time-stamped and signed. However, the circumstances of that signature are what triggered the massive legal battle that followed. When Zach Roloff arrived at the hospital, desperate to check on his father's condition post-surgery, he was reportedly stonewalled. Imagine the panic of a son being told by hospital administration that he cannot see his father, that he cannot access medical charts, and that he has no say in the recovery process because a new power of attorney is on file, designating Caryn as the sole decision maker. Zach was blindsided. He knew his father hadn't mentioned signing such a sweeping document just hours prior. This raised immediate red flags. Zach, knowing he was outgunned and being blocked by hospital bureaucracy that was simply following the paperwork they had been handed, made the call that changed the trajectory of this entire crisis. He called his mother. Amy Roloff, despite the years of divorce and the emotional distance, reportedly dropped everything. The insider theories suggest that Amy recognized the gravity of the situation immediately. She knows Matt's handwriting, she knows his legal patterns, and most importantly, She knows that Matt is incredibly protective of his autonomy. The idea that he would sign away total control while groggy or pre-op didn't sit right with her. Amy didn't just come to the hospital to argue, she came armed with legal counsel. She immediately filed for an emergency conservatorship hearing alleging fraud and endangerment. This bold move froze Caryn's alleged authority and brought the matter before a judge in record time. The allegation was simple but devastating: fraud. Amy and her team contended that the signature on that document was either forged or obtained while Matt was medically incapacitated and unable to consent, which constitutes a felony. The courtroom drama that ensued is something you would expect from a movie script, but for the Roloff family, this was their grim reality. The judge granted an emergency hearing because the safety of a patient was at risk. All parties were summoned: Caryn, her legal team, the notary she hired, and on the other side, Amy, Zach, and their attorneys. The atmosphere in the courtroom was described as electric and hostile. Amy wasn't there to play nice. She was there to expose the truth. The pivotal moment, the scene that everyone is talking about, occurred during the cross-examination of the mobile notary. This is where the scheme allegedly fell apart. Amy's lawyer, a shark in the courtroom, zeroed in on the notary logbook. In the legal world, a notary's log is sacred. If you lie in it, you are committing perjury. The lawyer started calmly, asking the notary to confirm the details of his official record. The notary stated that he witnessed Matt Roloff sign the durable power of attorney at 3:15 p.m. on a Tuesday in the hospital's recovery wing. He testified to this under oath, looking the judge in the eye. That was the trap. Amy's lawyer had done the homework that Caryn and the notary apparently didn't expect. As soon as the notary confirmed the time of 3:15 p.m., the lawyer dropped the hammer. He presented the court with official hospital records, anesthesia logs, and sworn affidavits from 3 separate nurses who were attending to Matt. These records irrefutably proved that at 3:15 p.m., Matt Roloff was still under heavy sedation from general anesthesia. He was completely unconscious. He wasn't waking up. He wasn't groggy. He was out cold. The lawyer posed the question that destroyed the defense. How did a man who was medically unconscious sign a complex legal document in front of you? The courtroom reportedly went silent. The notary began to sweat, stammering about possibly getting the time wrong, trying to backpedal. But Amy's lawyer wasn't finished. This is where the investigation gets truly forensic. The lawyer didn't just rely on the medical logs. He had subpoenaed the hospital's security footage and visitor logs. He revealed that at 3:15 p.m., the exact time the notary claimed to be witnessing a signature in the recovery room, the notary was actually captured on camera in the hospital cafeteria. And he wasn't alone. The footage reportedly showed him sitting at a table with none other than Caryn Chandler. They weren't in the recovery room. They were downstairs, allegedly conspiring to forge the signature and falsify the timestamp. The implication was clear and horrifying. They took the document, faked Matt's signature while he was helpless upstairs, and the notary lied in his official government log to make it legal. It was a conspiracy to commit fraud against an incapacitated person. The impact of this revelation on the stand cannot be overstated. We are hearing that under the pressure of the security footage and the threat of immediate perjury charges, the notary cracked. He broke down on the stand. In a moment of absolute desperation to save himself, he reportedly confessed to the entire scheme. He told the court that he never saw Matt sign the paper. He admitted that the signature was falsified and that he was pressured to certify it. He implicated Caryn as the mastermind behind the plan, claiming she needed the document executed immediately before Matt woke up so she could control the post-operative narrative and finances. The gasp in the courtroom must have been audible. Caryn's defense reportedly crumbled instantly as her own witness turned on her. The judge's reaction was swift and severe. Judges do not take kindly to their courtrooms being used to validate fraud, especially against vulnerable patients in hospital beds. The ruling was delivered with a level of anger rarely seen in family court. The judge described the actions as one of the most predatory acts the court had ever witnessed. He called the exploitation of a person in a vulnerable medical state abhorrent. In a decisive move, the judge immediately nullified the power of attorney. It was declared void ab initio, meaning it was treated as if it never existed. But the judge didn't stop there. Turning his attention to the notary, he found him in contempt of court on the spot. The bailiffs were ordered to take the notary into custody immediately to await criminal charges for forgery and perjury. Then the judge turned his eyes to Caryn. The dressing down was legendary. He called her actions despicable. He stripped her of any authority regarding Matt. Effective immediately, a temporary conservatorship was granted not to her, but to the petitioner's children, with Amy likely acting as an advisor. The judge ordered that Caryn was to have absolutely no say in Mr. Roloff's medical or financial affairs moving forward. Furthermore, and this is the kicker, the judge referred the entire matter to the district attorney's office for a criminal investigation into elder abuse and fraud. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. This was a total dismantling of Caryn's alleged power grab. The aftermath of this verdict has shifted the entire landscape of the Roloff family. Amy Roloff walked out of that courtroom a hero. She didn't do it for fame. She did it because, despite everything, Matt is the father of her children and a human being who was being taken advantage of. She saved him from a situation where he had no voice. Matt, once he recovered and was informed of what had transpired, was reportedly devastated by the betrayal, but overwhelmed with gratitude toward Amy and the kids. The image of the notary being led away in handcuffs and Caryn facing a criminal probe is a stark reminder that the truth eventually comes out. This victory for Amy and the kids secures the legacy of the farm and ensures that Matt's future is handled by people who actually have his best interests at heart, not those looking for a payout or control. This brings us to the deeper implications of this event. We have to look at the psychology behind such a move. If these reports are true, it suggests a level of desperation from Caryn that we haven't seen before. Why now? Why this surgery? Theories are running wild that there may have been talks of a breakup or a change in Matt's will that Caryn was trying to preempt. By securing a durable power of attorney, she would have effectively checkmated any move Matt tried to make to distance himself from her financially. It was a high-risk, high-reward gamble, and thanks to the vigilance of Zach and the tenacity of Amy, she lost everything. The community reaction has been overwhelmingly on the side of Amy. For years, fans have been divided, but this act of protection has united the fan base. It shows that when the chips are down, the original Roloff family unit, Amy and the kids, is the bond that holds. We also need to discuss the role of the hospital in this. While they were initially following the paperwork, the fact that security footage was so readily available and that the nurses were willing to testify against the timeline speaks volumes about the integrity of the medical staff. They knew Matt was unconscious. They knew the notary's story didn't add up. Their testimony was the bedrock of Amy's case. It serves as a warning to anyone trying to bypass legal ethics in a medical setting. There are too many eyes, too many logs, and too many cameras to get away with it. The digital footprint left by the notary and Caryn in that cafeteria was their undoing. It highlights the sloppiness of the alleged crime. They were so arrogant in their belief that they wouldn't be challenged that they didn't even bother to coordinate their alibis with the medical reality of the patient. As we wait for the district attorney's office to decide on formal charges against Caryn, the speculation is rampant. Will she face jail time? Will she be banned from the farm entirely? Matt's recovery is now happening under the watchful eye of his children, and reports say the atmosphere is completely different. There is a sense of relief, a sense of safety that was missing before. Amy's intervention didn't just save Matt's assets, it likely saved his mental health. Imagine waking up from surgery to find out you have lost control of your life to someone who forged your name. The trauma of that would be immeasurable. Amy spared him that nightmare by stepping into the line of fire. The fallout extends to the show as well. How does TLC handle this? Can they continue filming a couple where one partner is under criminal investigation for defrauding the other? This scandal might spell the end of the show as we know it, or it might pivot the narrative entirely to focus on the reconciliation of the family unit minus Caryn. The viewers have been vocal about their distrust of Caryn for seasons, often citing her interest in the farm as her primary motivation. This court case, if proven true, validates every single suspicion the audience has ever had. It is the ultimate I told you so moment for the fans who have stood by Amy through the divorce and the subsequent drama. We are also hearing rumblings that Matt is reconsidering his entire estate plan in light of these events. The farm, the big house, the legacy, everything is back on the table. With the trust in Caryn shattered, the likelihood of the farm staying in the family, perhaps going to the grandkids or being managed by the boys, has skyrocketed. This failed coup has inadvertently paved the way for the resolution that fans have wanted for years. The farm staying with the Roloffs. It's ironic that Caryn's attempt to seize control may be the very thing that pushes Matt back toward his ex-wife and children. The legal experts we've consulted say that the notary's confession is the nail in the coffin. It is direct evidence of a conspiracy. It removes the he said, she said element and replaces it with a confessed crime. This makes the civil case for the conservatorship a slam dunk, but it also makes the criminal defense for Caryn incredibly difficult. If the notary testifies against her in a criminal trial to cut a deal for himself, she is looking at serious consequences. We are talking about potential charges of forgery, fraud, elder abuse, and conspiracy. These are felonies that carry prison time. This is not just reality TV drama anymore. This is real-world justice coming down hard. Amy's lawyer deserves a massive amount of credit here. The strategy to let the notary commit perjury on the stand before revealing the evidence was brilliant. It locked him into a lie. If the lawyer had revealed the evidence beforehand, the notary might have pleaded the fifth or changed his story. By letting him testify to the 3:15 p.m. time, the lawyer set a trap that the notary walked right into. It was a masterclass in cross-examination. And for Amy to bankroll this, to put her own resources on the line for her ex-husband, shows a strength of character that is truly admirable. It proves that the bond of family, even a fractured one, is stronger than the machinations of an outsider. Now, as we look forward, we have to wonder what Matt's statement will be. He has been silent so far, likely on the advice of his new legal counsel that is definitely not approved by Caryn. When he finally speaks, it will be the most anticipated interview in the history of the show. Will he press charges? Will he evict Caryn? Will he publicly thank Amy? The emotional toll of this betrayal will be heavy, but knowing his family has his back must be a tremendous comfort. The narrative of Amy saves Matt is a powerful one. It flips the script on years of conflict. It positions Amy not as the bitter ex, as she has sometimes been portrayed, but as the protector of the Roloff legacy. It redeems her in the eyes of any critics she had left. She didn't have to do this. She could have let Caryn take over. She could have washed her hands of Matt's problems, but she didn't. She stepped up. And because of that, Matt is safe, the notary is in jail, and Caryn is facing the music. Stay tuned because this story is developing rapidly. We are expecting more leaks from the courthouse, more statements from the family's representatives, and potentially mugshots if the arrests proceed as the judge implied. This is a turning point in the Little People, Big World saga that no one saw coming, but everyone will be watching. We will continue to track the criminal investigation and bring you the updates on the district attorney's decision the moment it happens. This is justice in action, and it is a stark reminder that you cannot hide from the truth, no matter how clever you think your scheme is. The hospital logs don't lie, the cameras don't lie. And now, thanks to Amy Roloff, the truth is out there for everyone to see. The dust has barely settled in the courtroom, but the chaos at Roloff Farms is just beginning. If you thought the trial was the climax of this saga, you are sorely mistaken. What we are witnessing now is the systematic dismantling of a years-long deception, and the details emerging from the immediate aftermath of the verdict are nothing short of earth-shattering. We are talking about police escorts on the property, a forensic audit that is uncovering missing funds, and a heartbreaking realization by Matt Roloff that the woman he planned to spend his life with may have viewed him as nothing more than a paycheck. The information we are receiving from our insider sources paints a picture of a family circling the wagons and a desperate woman cornered by the undeniable evidence of her own greed. We are diving straight back into the fire. The judge's ruling was the spark, but the explosion happened when the authorities arrived at the farm. Before we get into the shocking new evidence regarding the text messages found on the notary's phone, please make sure you have liked this video and subscribed. You need to be here for every twist in this story because the mainstream outlets are weeks behind what we are uncovering right now. Let's start with the scene that reportedly took place just hours after the judge remanded the notary into custody and stripped Caryn of her powers. According to neighbors and sightings near the property, a convoy of vehicles, including sheriff's deputies, descended on Roloff Farms. This wasn't a social call. The temporary conservatorship granted to the Roloff children gave them immediate authority over the property to secure Matt's assets. The report suggests that Caryn was given less than 2 hours to vacate the premises. Imagine the scene. The woman who acted as the matriarch of the farm for the last few years, who remodeled the house and rearranged the dynamics, being escorted off the property by law enforcement. We hear that Zach was present, standing at the gate, ensuring that nothing belonging to the farm or his father was left in Caryn's vehicle. It is the ultimate humiliation and a definitive end to her reign. But the physical removal of Caryn is just the tip of the iceberg. The real story is what investigators are finding now that they have access to the digital footprint of this conspiracy. Remember the notary who cracked on the stand? His cooperation has reportedly opened a Pandora's box of digital evidence. Sources indicate that the district attorney's office has subpoenaed the text message history between Caryn and the notary leading up to the surgery. The content of these alleged messages is chilling. We are hearing theories that there is a text sent just 20 minutes before the notary arrived at the hospital, which read, "He is under, it's now or never." If this text exists, it proves premeditation. It proves that this wasn't a misunderstanding or a clerical error. It was a calculated strike timed to Matt's vulnerability. It changes the narrative from fraud to conspiracy with malicious intent. While this legal storm is raging, we have to talk about Matt. The most heartbreaking aspect of this entire ordeal is Matt's awakening. Waking up from major surgery is difficult enough. Waking up to find out your world has been turned upside down is unimaginable. Reports from the hospital suggest that Amy and Zach were the ones to break the news to him. They had to explain why Caryn wasn't there, why there were lawyers in the hallway, and why he had a temporary conservator. The insider theory is that Matt initially didn't believe it. He was in denial. He defended Caryn, blaming a misunderstanding. But then Amy reportedly showed him the security footage, the footage of Caryn and the notary in the cafeteria, plotting while he was unconscious. That was the breaking point. Sources say Matt broke down completely. It wasn't just the loss of a relationship. It was the realization that his instincts had failed him so spectacularly. He felt foolish, betrayed, and incredibly alone. However, this vulnerability has sparked a reconciliation that fans have been praying for. The rift between Matt and Zach, which has dominated the last few seasons, has seemingly evaporated in the face of this external threat. Zach stepped up. He didn't say, "I told you so." He simply protected his dad. And he wasn't alone. We are hearing rumors that Jeremy Roloff, who has distanced himself from the show and the farm drama for years, has returned to the fold to support his father. The image of the Roloff brothers united again to build a wall of protection around Matt is powerful. It suggests that the farm, which tore them apart, is now the thing bringing them back together to defend it from an outsider. Now, let's follow the money. This is where the story potentially expands into a federal issue. With the conservatorship in place, an independent forensic accountant was reportedly brought in to review the farm's books to ensure no assets were leaked during the chaos. What they are finding, according to insider leaks, is alarming. There are whispers of consulting fees and management bonuses paid out to entities controlled by Caryn over the last 18 months. These transactions were small enough to go unnoticed individually, but allegedly amount to a significant sum when aggregated. If these transfers were made without Matt's explicit informed consent, or if he was coerced into signing checks, we are looking at embezzlement. This would explain why Caryn was so desperate to secure the power of attorney. She may have needed to cover her tracks or legitimize past transfers before a potential audit could catch them. The audacity of the scheme is what has legal experts baffled. Why be so brazen? The theory is that Caryn believed she had total control over Matt's perception of reality. She had isolated him from his kids, she was the gatekeeper of his schedule, and she likely thought that even if the kids found out, Matt would side with her. She underestimated Amy. She forgot that Amy Roloff spent 30 years on that farm and knows where every skeleton is buried. Amy's involvement was the variable Caryn didn't account for. Amy didn't just fight for Matt. She fought for the inheritance of her grandchildren. She saw the power of attorney for what it was, a tool to potentially liquidate the farm or change the will to cut the kids out entirely. Let's discuss the potential criminal charges that are brewing. The district attorney is reportedly looking at a laundry list of charges. We've mentioned forgery and fraud, but there is also the possibility of attempted grand larceny, given the value of the estate she tried to seize control of. Additionally, Oregon has strict laws regarding the abuse of vulnerable adults. Attempting to execute a legal document on an anesthetized patient fits the definition of exploitation perfectly. If the DA decides to make an example out of this case, Caryn could be facing a trial that rivals the most high-profile celebrity scandals. The notary, looking to minimize his own jail time, is likely singing like a canary, providing dates, times, and conversations that incriminate Caryn as the sole architect of the plan. And what about TLC? The network is in a precarious position. They have hours of footage of Caryn and Matt painting a picture of a happy couple. Now, that footage looks like evidence. Fans are demanding that TLC release the raw tapes, the unedited moments where Caryn might have slipped up or shown her true colors. There is a strong demand for a special episode documenting the trial and the investigation, but legal barriers might prevent that. However, the production crew is reportedly scrambling to pivot the upcoming season. The storyline has shifted from will they get married to will she go to prison? It's a dark turn for a family show, but the ratings potential is undeniable. We also have to consider the other woman angle. No, not a romantic rival, but the notary's connection. Why did this specific notary agree to commit a felony? Insider theories suggest he was in financial debt and was promised a lucrative position as the estate manager once Caryn took full control. This points to a long-term plan. This wasn't a one-off decision. It was a coup. The promise of future employment in exchange for a forged signature is a conspiracy charge waiting to happen. It shows that Caryn was planning for a future where she was the boss of Roloff Farms, and Matt was merely a figurehead, or worse, out of the picture entirely. The community in Hillsborough is buzzing. The Roloffs are local celebrities, and the idea of a crime of this magnitude happening at the farm has shocked the town. Witnesses at the local courthouse reported seeing Amy walking with a confidence we haven't seen in years. She is no longer the victim of a divorce. She is the victor of a legal battle that saved the family legacy. Her relationship with Chris is also being highlighted. Chris has reportedly been a rock, supporting Amy's decision to help Matt without a hint of jealousy. He understands that this is about the children and the history they share. This has cemented Chris as a beloved figure in the eyes of the fans, proving he is secure enough to let Amy be the hero for her ex-husband. As we look toward the next few weeks, the focus will be on the grand jury. The DA will likely present the evidence, the hospital logs, the security footage, the text messages, and the notary's confession to secure an indictment. Once that indictment drops, Caryn will be formally charged and likely arrested. We could see a mugshot of Caryn Chandler on the news. That image alone would mark the definitive end of her time in the public eye as anything other than a cautionary tale. There is also the matter of the Roloff wall. This is a term gaining traction online. It refers to the united front of Amy, Zach, Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob. Reports indicate that all 4 siblings have been in contact, coordinating visits to the hospital and the farm. Jacob, who has been very critical of the farm's management in the past, has reportedly been instrumental in securing the property physically, using his knowledge of the grounds to ensure no unauthorized access occurs. This crisis has done what years of therapy couldn't. It has realigned the family priorities. They realize that despite their differences, the farm and their father are worth fighting for. Matt's future is now a blank slate. The retirement home he was building with Caryn, construction has reportedly halted. The engagement rumors? Dead. Matt is facing a future where he is single, recovering from surgery, but surrounded by family. It's a bittersweet victory. He has his farm and his kids, but he has lost his partner. However, the overwhelming sentiment from fans is that he dodged a bullet, a literal and metaphorical bullet. If that power of attorney had stood, and if something had happened to Matt during recovery, Caryn would have had the power to pull the plug or make medical decisions that favored her interests over his survival. It is a terrifying thought that keeps Matt awake at night, according to sources close to him. We are also hearing that Matt is planning to file a civil suit against Caryn for emotional distress and breach of fiduciary duty. This would freeze her assets and prevent her from profiting off any tell-all books or interviews she might plan to sell. Matt wants to ensure she doesn't see a dime from the Roloff name ever again. It is a scorched earth policy, and honestly, after what she allegedly tried to do, who can blame him? The final twist in this part of the saga comes from a rumor regarding a secret recording. There is a theory circulating that Matt, ever the businessman, had installed audio recording devices in the farm office years ago for security, and that he forgot to tell Caryn. The rumor is that there is an audio file of Caryn talking to the notary on the phone from inside the farm office days before the surgery, explicitly discussing the timeline and the need to bypass the kids. If this tape exists and if it is admissible in court, it is the nuclear option. It would prove that this was not a crime of passion or desperation, but a cold, calculated business move. We are waiting for confirmation on the existence of this tape, but legal analysts say if it's real, Caryn should start looking for a plea deal immediately. This story is far from over. The legal process is slow, but the unraveling of Caryn's life is happening at light speed. We will continue to dig into the financial audit results as they leak. We are monitoring the docket for the grand jury announcement, and we are waiting for the first public statement from Matt Roloff. When he speaks, it will likely be the highest rated moment in the history of the franchise. Until then, keep your eyes on the channel. The betrayal runs deep, but justice is coming. Amy Roloff didn't just win a court case. She reclaimed the narrative. She proved that you can move on, find new love, and still fiercely protect the family you built. That is the headline. That is the story. And we will be here to tell you what happens next.